My name is Ivan. I'm the co-founder, CEO of Notion. The way I like to describe Notion is kind of like the Lego for your productivity tool. Just like a Lego, you can do a lot of things. So fundamentally, Notion is about how can we bring the true power of software tool making to the hands of many people. Ideally, everybody or many people with using Notion, they can modify or create their own tools, define their own workflows, use one of the off-the-shelf document tool or note-taking tool or project management tool. They can take Notion and make whatever best for their team or for their families.
Can you tell us about a little bit of your background before you started your own company?
So I got the idea in college. So in college, I studied cognitive science, how human brain works, and a little bit computing, a little bit philosophy. But I really got into fine art as well, photography. What really got me started was at the end of my school years, and I'm about to graduate. Most of my friends are artists, and I'm the only person who knows how to code in my friend circle. So I start building web pages for everyone. They'd probably buy me lunch or something. I can't remember, a long time ago. After making those 3, 4, or 5 websites, those people are creative. They can build their own websites if they know how to do that, right? But again, like computing as a medium, they don't know how to speak that medium. With Spotify as a tool, everybody can play music, right? With Notion as a tool, hopefully more people can create their own websites. At that stage, it's still very much thinking about how can I help other people to create their websites. And I've been working on that since then, it's a very interesting problem and very large problem as well. I wasn't coming with the idea to create a business. Business is very much an instrument, a tool to push out this idea to many people. Without a business, you don't have first, it's a very hard problem. Definitely I cannot solve by myself, so I need a team. And the best way to operate as a team is as a company. And the best way to sustain a company and have the leverage, have the scale to reach out many people is through a business that's sustainable, that's profitable ideally. And yeah, that's pretty natural. At that time I was in Canada. The best way to start an internet business is San Francisco, the Hollywood of tech. And I want to move to San Francisco right after I graduated and work at a startup for about a year to learn how to work with people. Dust off my studentness into professional life and working on Notion. But fundamentally, it's about how do I build this product and realizing the romantic mission behind it rather than just create a business. Like I talk about, the very first version of Notion is a web page builder. That's the prototype. And from there, evolve into a web app builder. That's pretty much the first few years of Notion. It takes me several years to realize that people don't want to build apps. Very few people want to do that. It's kind of collaborative building apps, and it's kind of like document editing. It's kind of like Xcode for the web. It's very confusing. On top of that, we're building on top of some technical foundation that wasn't stable. So it's very hard to tell whether it's our own bug or is the bug come from the platform we're using. So fundamentally, we have to rewrite the whole software. And we're going to run out of time if we don't reset the company. At that time, team is about 4 or 5 people. And we don't reset and go back to just me and Simon, my co-founders, we're probably most likely going to run out of money. Unfortunately, lay off everybody and go to somewhere small and interesting and quiet, and we can just focus on coding. Neither of us has been to Japan, and we always want to go to. And the reason for Kyoto is, if you look at on Airbnb, Tokyo and those Osaka or other major cities, the rooms are fairly small, the apartments are fairly small. But for Kyoto, probably because during World War II, it wasn't got bombed, and a lot of older houses are still there. They're quite a bit bigger, and the pace of life in the city is slower as well. So good for folks on working on things. So, and it's a much cheaper city than San Francisco. So we actually make money moving to Kyoto. The notion that everybody's working on today is rebuilt from that state.
What did you learn from the failure of your first own business?
The first version of Notion, very much what you think the world wants, what you want, and which is great, but it doesn't mean a lot more people can understand that. Fundamentally, everybody is so busy every day. There's so many problems to solve. They don't care about what you want that much. The later Notion is a lot more pragmatic, a lot more grounded into solving people's real problems. So at that time, shift from Xcode like app building, website building tool into a more productivity tool that you see today. So people are more familiar with all the problems Notion can solve for you right away.
What philosophy standards do you think Notion has in Notion's UX?
Model we go after, or at least the model we sort of pattern based on working is kind of like artist studio. Artist studio, everybody walk around in a very comfortable, relaxed environment. We don't drink beer at work during the daytime, but very fairly laid back, and but also very focused and intense in a way. You're really into the thing you're building, and you really put a lot of care into building. And so that's sort of a practice. In terms of philosophy, again, it's kind of like art combined with technology. Very intuition driven, so a lot of things it just feels right, and other things we try to keep things keep it extremely simple. The simplest, we use the word done. You need to pay too much attention to start picking up and start using, because it feels really natural, right? It should just feels like your extension of your body. It's like you know how to use your hands, you know how to use very simple tools like a pen or a cup, because they're evolved so long with you, with humanity, that it's very natural to pick it up. You don't need to think about how to use them. I didn't go to design school and very much just learn as I go. But I find the easiest way, or at least the most meaningful way for me to learn, it's not to look at what your peers are doing. Yes, it's very important. Like, I think the very first step is go on Dribble or go on another design website, copy, pixel by pixel, learn the craft, learn the techniques, right? Once you get the basic techniques down, it's actually not productive to copy what other people are doing. But in the history, if you go back towards what people have done in the past and from other domains, there's so much to learn from, right? Not necessarily in design, not necessarily in graphic design, not necessarily in industrial design. You can learn from art, you can learn from architecture, architecture is actually a really good place to learn from things. You can learn from furnitures, you can learn from biology, which is arguably the best designers in the world. It's the nature itself. Thinking about how the nature system works, how a complexity system merged to get together. There's so much to steal from other disciplines, not just on Dribble, after you get the basic craft down. So go steal from other places, and you don't necessarily have to hide it because there's so much to take from. Looking at nature more into the systems, like how ecology of a place evolves. And there's also a lot about craft. Like Kyoto is a good place for craft. When something that human has been practiced for hundreds of years, it's almost blurred technology with nature in a way. The tradition is the blurriness, right? You don't know why you do it, but it makes sense and it sort of does its job really, really well. That's a good place to learn from the craftsmanship and the tradition behind the craft, and you sort of can ask a little bit why behind those crafts. And coming as a more techie, technologist angle to look at traditional craft is interesting too. The whole point is just there's so much more to steal from, not just in design or software design, which is very small and narrow-minded field, in my opinion.
What's your future plans and goals?
Our romantic goal is everybody can use Notion to make any kind of software they want, as if they're programmers. So that's the true romantic idea behind Notion, and that's why I started the company. Definitely keep solving, as the product being adopted by more people, and larger company are start using Notion. Fundamentally, we care about people use the product, right? Doesn't matter you're a business or personal or students. Everybody should use the product. That's a larger reason why we made the personal side of Notion free. API is a big one that's coming up. No pressure for our teams, and the international launches like the Korean ones, and those are few of the top things that we're working on at the moment.
After this whole pandemic thing go away, do you have any plan to come visit Korea?
Oh yeah, I want to visit everywhere in the world after this is over. First, I'm just really grateful. I never coming back working on the very same kitchen table building Notion from years ago. Never thought it will be very popular in other corners of the world, and hopefully this launch may translate our product and our content into Korea will help more people in the country, and we would love the feedback. This is the very first launch we're doing into other languages. We probably will get many parts wrong. So if anybody have any feedback how we can do better, we would love to hear from that. Just reach out to our support, and we'll collect every single one of the feedback. We're not just saying for the sake of it. And from all those iteration and learning, we can make the product better, and even more specifically, more localized the product beyond just languages. There's a lot of what's unique for Korea as a region. Overall, really grateful, and thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, Ivan. Bye.
Bye.